Hello, I'm David Prosser, Director of Literary Services here at the Stratford Festival of Canada. Welcome to our latest in our series of weekly webcasts. Now, being a classical theatre, we don't often have the opportunity to actually talk to the playwrights we produce. Ben Jonson, William Shakespeare, even Oscar Wilde, a little hard to get hold of these days. However, this year is a little different. We have at the Studio Theatre an all-Canadian season. This is the first season of all-Canadian plays, in fact, since the studio opened in 2002. And we are going to be talking a little bit about the place of Canadian plays, contemporary Canadian plays, at a classical theatre. We're also going to be talking specifically about one of those plays. There are three of them. Stratford by George F. Walker, which is a true Canadian classic, debuted in the 1970s. We have a brand new play by Maurice Panich, which is a world premiere for us. And we've also got a new production of a play that's already premiered elsewhere, Rice Boy by Sunil Kuruvilla. Now, with me today to talk about all of this, I have on my immediate left Robert Blacker, who is the festival's dramaturge. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
And we have on Robert's left Sunil Kuruvilla, the author of Rice Boy. Now, let me remind you that this is your opportunity at home to submit questions for us right here in real time, live. Send in your questions. They will be relayed to me by the technological miracle of felt tip marker and bulletin board, and I will then pose them to the questions to the guests. So you say it out there, it gets asked in here. So without further ado, let's turn to the business at hand. Robert, tell me. Stratford, and I said the Stratford Festival of Canada. I meant, of course, the Stratford Shakespeare Festival is a classical theatre. What is the place of new and contemporary work at such a festival?
You know, I met Des first through a play that he had written with the rather startling title of Leave It to Beaver is Dead.
This is Des McAnuff,
This is Des McAnuff, our artistic director.
Who was the first artistic director in our history who was also a playwright, as far as I know.
Exactly, and he was a playwright and composer before he was a director. And so it's one of the reasons why I think he is such an exciting director of classical work. Because he takes the text seriously. He sees his role as director to bring the play to life, and that our communal effort with actors and with my work as a dramaturge on Shakespeare is to try to understand the play and really get across what we feel Shakespeare is trying to accomplish in a play, or another. I don't like the word classical because it makes everything feel so elevated. I think there are living playwrights and there are dead playwrights. So when we do dead playwrights, we try to understand their work in a process in which you can't ask them, well, what did you mean by this incredibly obscure passage? Right. You know, if Sunil and I, with his director Guillermo Verdecchi, are discussing the script, we had the great fortune of a living playwright with us, so we can say, well, why did you write this? And you may or may not be able to tell us, depending on what part of the brain a particular passage comes from. But Des was a playwright before being a director, and he feels it's very important for a great theater to have living writers in their midst. As he would say, it reminds you that, plays are about something that is important in our lives, or about many things that are important in our lives. They're not museum pieces. And having living writers in our midst reminds us of that when we turn to the work of Shakespeare, and as we have this year, Ben Jonson, and Rostand, and Oscar Wilde. And So this was very important for him to get back to the impulse for which the studio was built, which is to house and show the glories of Canadian writing. So in his first season as sole artistic director, we are working on 3 plays, and it perhaps shows the range of what we will be doing in the next years. And in that, there's the brand new play, Morris Panich's play, The Trespassers, and he's one of the glories of the Canadian writing scene. Right now, we're thrilled that he's here with his play, and he'll be directing it. Sunil, and we'll talk about this in a bit, is an accomplished playwright who I'm very excited to welcome to Stratford. And what he most wanted to do was revise his play, Rice Boy. And then, of course, we have a play that's been in the Canadian repertoire an international repertoire for some decades now, George Walker's plays Strozzi. So I think our goal in Des's regime will be to celebrate all Canadian artists, and that includes living Canadian writers, and of course with some classics, some Canadian writers who stepped on to the other side of the universe as well.
So there's a kind of transference of dynamic, as it were, that a culture of working on new and contemporary plays kind of informs the approach to the classics, and of course.
Absolutely.
And vice versa, I suppose, having living playwrights working in a theatre devoted to the classics, for want of a better word, kind of reinforces the fact that it is a continuum. It's just we are all indebted to Shakespeare ultimately. Anyone who works in drama is on a line back to Shakespeare. So it's a two-way street, in other words.
It's very much a two-way street, because Des has often used a phrase in my presence where he says it's important for living writers, and Sunil, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, to learn from the great writers of the past. And the phrase he uses is, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has been invented, so become familiar with writers that you can emulate on your way to developing your own personal style. See how Shakespeare solved a problem in a particular scene, and that may give you the key to understanding how you might be able to solve a problem in a scene. I hope this is I can share this with you, Sunil, but I think the writer who's often come up in our conversations has been Chekhov, because Rice Boy reminds me very much of a Chekhov play. It's an ensemble piece with 8 equally interesting characters. There's someone at the center of the play. There's a relationship perhaps that is at the center of the play, but he has that gift that Chekhov has of juggling multiple stories in this particular play, and also another gift that Chekhov has, which is I think Sunil is a writer both of the head and the heart, and these are human beings that he has written in Rice Boy that we have develop an emotional attachment to, which is sometimes not there in contemporary writing. Sometimes it's very cerebral, and Sunil has both of those qualities in his writing.
So do you agree with that, Sunil? No, this is a good time to bring you